Hello everyone, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm reviewing the franchise trilogy Porky's. Now these are trio of films that were sex comedies in the 1980s and they did draw some controversy with some critics about how the movie was portraying women and some other people, but this is just good old fashioned high school sex comedy like American Pie. But in this franchise, though, the three movies, there tends to be a lot of nudity, but that's not what makes these movies great, in my opinion. It's the characters and everything else. And the first movie I'm talking about, Porky's, was released in a limited release on November 13th, 1981. It didn't get its wide release until March 19th, 1982. And this movie is written and directed by Bob Clark. It received mixed to negative reviews with critics. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 30%. It has a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb and a 78% on Google. Now, when this movie came out in the 80s, the Rotten Tomatoes score was a lot higher. But over time, as new critics have watched the movies and rated the movies, they've taken it down a huge notch. And it's sad, but this movie ended up being the fifth highest grossing movie of 1982. The movies that it was ahead of it was Rocky 3, An Officer and a Gentleman, Tootsie, and then E.T. was number one. So those were the top four movies ahead of Porky's. Now, this movie had a $5 million budget and made $105.5 million at the box office. It was huge. Siskel and Ebert, the famed critics, had the television show. They hated this movie and said it was one of the worst of 1982. Well, fans and box office would disagree with those two gentlemen. This movie stars Dan Monahan, Mark Harrier, Wyatt Knight, Roger Wilson, Cyril O'Reilly, Tony Gagnos, Kaki Hunter, Kim Cattrall, Nancy Parsons, Scott Columby, Susan Clark, Chuck Mitchell, and Eric Christmas, respectively. Of course, since a couple of the casts have passed on, Chuck Mitchell, who plays Porky Wallace, is gone. Nancy Parsons, who plays Coach Beulah Ballbreaker, she is gone. And last I know of, Wyatt Knight, who plays Tommy Turner, is deceased as well due to suicide. And I believe that was in 2011. But this movie is about horny teenage guys who are obsessed with sex, and Pee Wee Morris, played by Dan Monahan, is the leader of that group. So, so much as far as sex goes. Billy McCarthy, Tommy Turner, Mickey Jarvis, Tim Cavanaugh, Anthony Meat Tuparello are all the guys. And then you have Wendy Williams, who is the chick of the group. And then Kim Cattrall plays Miss Lynn Honeywell, or Lassie. Nancy Parsons, like I said, I was talking about her. Scott Columby plays Brian Schwartz. Susan Clark plays Cherry Forever. We'll get into her character in a minute. And then Eric Christmas plays Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter character in this movie is hilarious. There's a great scene. Has to center around the boys peeking in on the girls in the showers, and Miss Ballbreaker catches them and catches Tommy Turner with his penis out in the little hole that they're peeking through. And she grabs on it, pulling on it, and she goes to report this to the principal. And the two coaches and Mr. Carter, who's the principal, is trying to hold back their laughter because she's explaining to him how dangerous he is and that the police should be called. There should be a lineup. It is a classic scene. Another classic scene is one of the coaches is he wants to find out why they call Miss Honeywell Lassie, and he gets her up in the boys' locker room. They end up um, having sex, and then she basically howls like a dog, and that's another classic funny scene. But along the way, these guys, besides being sex crazed, they do play basketball. This takes place in the 1950s in Florida, and there was still racism when it comes to Jews and whatnot. And Tim Cavanaugh and Brian Schwartz end up fighting, and of course, also has to do with abuse. Tim Cavanaugh's dad is abusive towards him. He really gets mad when he gets whipped by Brian Schwartz, and he ends up taking it out on his son. There's a lot of different stories in this movie, and you see the development of the characters of Pee Wee, who is the virgin of the guys. He just is bound determined to get laid, pretty much, and will stop at nothing. So they first go to Porky's Pen to see naked ladies. That didn't work out. Then they try Cherry Forever. This is a woman who basically will do a lot of guys for the right price, and that ends up being a joke and everything. But and then the last thing for Pee Wee to ultimately have sex is with Wendy Williams, who agreed to do so if they were able to revenge the beating of Mickey, and that's in the third act. Mickey, lived by his character, is when they went to Porky's the first time, basically their money was taken from them and they got no action. They were there to get laid and they got nothing. They ended up having to pay fines to the sheriff there, who is the brother of Porky. They're both last names Wallace, Porky Wallace, and then his brother's last name is Wallace, who is the sheriff of that county. Because Porky's takes place in another county just over the county line. That's why Mickey just bound determined to go back and get a piece of Porky. Well, he ends up getting more than he bargains for, and so they take revenge and basically tear the hell out of his place to get revenge. But like I said, there's a lot of funny scenes in this movie. If you haven't seen this movie, sorry, spoiler alerts, but I can't really talk about this movie if I don't mention those things. But there's a lot of great characters in here. I think this movie is underrated. I think the critics are off their rockers. I think the fact that they don't like the nudity and how they say how women are being treated as sex objects in this movie. This is just like in any other sex comedy that we get nowadays. There may not be as much nudity, but it's the same freaking story. American Pie. All those guys wanted to get laid at prom or before they leave high school. Minus the nudity, which there still was nudity in there, but not as much as Porky's. But you gotta understand the whole story, and it's just funny teenage stuff that teenage boys and girls do while they're in high school and in junior high. But overall, I really love this movie. I love the characters. In my opinion, this movie still holds up today, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, this movie, Porky's, from 1982, gets a 10 out of 10 and 2 big thumbs up. I love this movie. I don't care what the critics say. IMDb did give it a better score, but 30% on Rotten Tomatoes is ridiculous, in my opinion. But other than that, in the comment section below, if you've seen this movie, give me your thoughts and opinions, and let me know what you thought. And let me know what some of your favorite characters or favorite moments from this movie are. I've already explained mine. There's so many to go through, but the 2 I explained were 2 of the classic scenes in this movie in particular. So, other than that, if you're new to this channel and you like this movie review, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's talk movies. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, and let's just get to talk about movies. I do rankings, top 10s, and I will be talking about TV shows as well. So other than that, I thank you guys for watching this movie review, and I'll see you guys next time. Check you later.